Good afternoon. We're back with more DC Dual Force, and today will be a hero tier list for the most recent patch. Currently it is September 12th, 2023, and the most recent patch is the one that brought us ranked mode, along with the Blue Beetle mini set, and the meta has shifted considerably as a result. I'll probably do one of these hero tier lists during the open beta anytime we get a patch that significantly changes the meta, as players will be looking for the most up-to-date information when trying to decide which of the hero mini sets they're going to buy. So let's dive in and take a look at where the heroes are at right now in the meta. And as always, this is based on my experience. As of right now, I am currently in the gold tier in ranked mode, and it is likely that each tier will have its own different meta. That's typically the case in card games, although I don't really know what the matchmaking system is. It could be that ranked players are all in one pool together. If the player base is fairly small, that would make sense. Or it could be that each tier has its own different matchmaking, so that gold players are matched with gold, silver with silver, and so forth, or as close as you can get. Not really sure, but we'll take a look at the heroes and talk about my observations and where I think they're at in the meta right now. First up is Aquaman. So basically, the meta has changed pretty significantly from what I've seen. You've got a lot of players playing the Flash and Doomsday, which is the most popular rush deck right now. In maybe 2 patches ago, before August 15th, the popular rush deck was Batman and Wonder Woman, overwhelmingly so. Everybody, probably half the players were playing Batman and Wonder Woman at that time. Then we had the patch between August 15th and the ranked patch where I don't know that there really was a most popular rush deck. There were a lot of different attempts at different rush decks. You saw some based around the Flash, some based around Harley Quinn. Now in the current patch, it's overwhelmingly Flash Doomsday as the most popular rush deck. If you're not playing a rush deck, then a lot of players, at least the most successful non-rush deck that I've seen, are ones that revolve around Lex Luthor. Where does that leave Aquaman? Well, he's not a very good match with Lex Luthor. Luthor likes to have a hero that does a lot of damage matched with him. Superman or Shazam type, who can help him to clear big targets, push some face damage when Luthor clears the way with his hero power. Aquaman doesn't really fit into that mold. My opinion is that right now he's not in that great a spot. When the game first came out, he was an S tier hero, but he's since been nerfed, and then Might was nerfed again. So Aquaman himself got nerfed, and then Might got nerfed. And now I think he's very middling tier. I don't think he's that good. So he falls into the C tier. His attacks don't do enough damage. His sea creatures aren't quite buff enough. His hero power maybe costs too much. If he was something like 2 cost, but you only got 1 attack, and maybe the sea creatures were a little weaker, he'd be better, I think. Seen some attempts to pair him with Poison Ivy. Tried it myself, didn't experience any success at all with it. Don't think that's very good at the moment. Makes sense on paper, because Aquaman summons sea creatures, and Poison Ivy summons Savage Vines. It makes sense on paper to pair them, but in practice, it doesn't seem to work that well. I think Aquaman is not in a very good spot at the moment. Next up we have Batgirl. I've had quite a bit of success with Batgirl lately, in the last patch too. I think she's good. I think she's a strong A-tier hero. Now you do need a relatively advanced collection to play her. The cards I would say from Tactics that are really, really good to have with Batgirl, first Commissioner Gordon, that's a must-have. If you don't have Commissioner Gordon, I would not bother picking up Batgirl just yet. He is, in my opinion, a must-have from the Tactics aspect, or the Tactics faction, in order to play Batgirl. And the second card that I think is really good with Batgirl is Martian Manhunter from Tactics. If you've got those 2 cards, then you can play Batgirl with a variety of factions Well, not a wide variety, but I'd say she's pretty decent with might. And I tried her with Lex Luthor, and I really liked that. Though if you play her with Lex Luthor, I think you're really going to want Anton Arcane. So if you're trying to run a Batgirl deck with Commissioner Gordon, Martian Manhunter, and Anton Arcane, two of those cards are purple rarity or super rare rarity, and that means that not a lot of players may have them. And so if you don't have those cards, or if you can run Might, and you could run Swamp Thing. But Martian Manhunter, you can make a big Martian Manhunter that's protected by Aura. Whereas if you make a big Swamp Thing, it's not protected by Aura, and Lex Luthor is really popular right now, and he can just demolish the Swamp Thing and ruin all your hard work. Anton Arcane can be taken out the same way as well, but Martian Manhunter can't, and Commissioner Gordon plays aren't vulnerable to single target removal either, because you just use Batgirl and Commissioner Gordon to make multiple patrol cars. So you do need some cards to play a good Batgirl deck, I think. But if you have them, she's a very strong A tier hero. I like her a lot. She's done very well in this patch and in the last patch as well. I don't think she's ever really been bad. I don't see her that much on the ladder. I think she's underrated. Next up we have Batman. Batman has never been bad. I really like the Batman Doomsday deck I tried. Now, a lot of the cards that are new from the Blue Beetle mini set are from Tactics. We have the Jaime Reyes Ultimate, which is a very good Ultimate. And we've got a new version of Batman, Thomas Wayne Batman from the Flashpoint storyline. He's very good with the Hunter trait. We've got the Blue Beetle card with their, what's the card called? That's a 6/4 that's got Hunter. Batman got some upgrades in the last patch. He's a good, solid A tier hero. When comparing Batgirl and Batman, I think it depends on the cards you have, which one you want to run. If you have the Batman Ultimate, that works better with Batman, and that Batman Ultimate is very, very strong. One of the strongest ultimates in the game when you pair him with Batman. He's not that good with Batgirl because the Batman Ultimate draws cards for each of your gadgets that you use, and obviously Batgirl doesn't generate any gadgets. If you have Martian Manhunter but not the Batman Ultimate, you probably would go with Batgirl. To pair with Lex Luthor, I think, is the best pairing, though the Batman Doomsday deck, utilizing the Batmobile and the Hunter cards in Batman, did very, very well for me, and I think it's really good. Batman's never really been bad, and it's unlikely he ever will be. He's like a marquee hero. I think they want him to be good. And he's in the A tier, I think. He's in a good place with the addition of the Blue Beetle Tactics cards. And it's possible that Jaime Reyes might get nerfed. As it works right now, when you play Jaime Reyes as a silver and then you play a gold card and convert Jaime Reyes into Blue Beetle, he immediately can attack. Basically has speed. I don't know if that's intended or not. It's possible it gets changed in the future. That would change the equation for both Tactics heroes if that happens. But as of right now, I think they're both pretty good. I like Batgirl better than Batman at the moment, but I think they're both pretty good. Next up we have Black Adam. So we go from a hero that's never really been bad to a hero that's never really been good. He just takes too long to charge up his ultimate. Much too long. Tyranny's in a really good place. Black Adam is not in a good place. He needs to... So the way he works compared to Doomsday, Doomsday gets the 10 attack after 4 rounds, and then Doomsday charges twice if you KO a hero. Black Adam gets the charge after 10 rounds, -1 for each 5 attack recruit that you play. In practice, that probably comes out to 10 attack after, 5 or 6 rounds. And yeah, he gets the 10 attack permanently, but that's too long. 5 or 6 rounds is just too long. I think the charges on Black Adam need to be reduced to 8, maybe 9, but probably 8. If you could charge him after 8 charges, I think then he'd be quite competitive. Possibly 9 would be okay, but I think 8 to be sure. Right now he remains in the D tier. He's still just not a good hero. He takes too long. He's too slow. Cyborg is a hero that I really want to like. I've always wanted to like him. I haven't found a really good Cyborg deck yet, but I remain on the hunt. And I do think that a really good Cyborg deck probably does exist. Now, he's trying to do something similar to Lex Luthor in some ways. So I'm putting Cyborg in the B tier, though I'm open to having my opinion changed on him at some point. So Lex Luthor has single target removal, right? Lex Luthor can destroy any recruit. Cyborg in the early game cannot destroy any recruit, but he can do some damage to the face if you want to. In the late game, he can destroy any recruit that's not protected by aura or shield. Lex Luthor can take out recruits that are protected by shield. Cyborg can destroy any recruit that's not protected by aura or shield, and he can KO a hero of your choice in the late game. The key is to get him to the late game, and to get there you need 8 charges, typically. That's not easy to do. So Lex Luthor, Cyborg, they're sort of filling similar slots, but Luthor does it better. Still, I've seen a lot of love for Cyborg, and I do think he's pretty solid. And I do think that there's a deck out there that's really good. I'm not sure it's been perfected or optimized yet, but I think I'm very much open to moving him up to the A tier, and I don't see a scenario where I move him down to the C tier. I think he's in a pretty decent spot, but he's overshadowed by Lex Luthor because Luthor provides the single target card removal, and also he provides card draw. And Cyborg doesn't provide the card draw, but he does provide offensive hero KO potential. Somewhat similar, but I think Luthor is just the better hero right now. Still, I'm open to having Cyborg moved up to the A tier once I find a really good deck for him. Next up we have Doomsday. Doomsday is a hero I only recently acquired. I think I was just wrong in my opinions about Doomsday in the past. I think that once you acquire the collection, and if you pair Doomsday with the right hero, he's a good solid A tier hero. There's really only one way to play Doomsday, and that's as a rush hero. I tried pairing him with Lex Luthor for a more control-oriented approach. Wasn't that good. He's good with the Flash, unfortunately. I think he's even better with Batman. But there aren't that many other heroes that he does pair well with. So he's niche. His niche is rush decks. But in his niche, he's quite good. And so I think my opinion on him in the past tier lists was incorrect. Doomsday's good, unfortunately. And the Flash Doomsday decks are everywhere at the moment. Next up we have Green Arrow. Green Arrow is a hero I had in the S tier when we were facing a lot of rush decks that weren't Flash Doomsday or that weren't Doomsday in general. We're facing a lot of rush decks built around the small recruits from like Anarchy or from Tactics, and Green Arrow did very, very well in that circumstance. In the new patch, I don't think he's that good at all. I've moved him down to the C tier based on what I'm seeing lately, because his niche, the removal of small recruits utilizing his bronze or silver arrows, is just not that good right now when the primary rush deck is more direct damage oriented. So he struggles in this meta and doesn't really benefit from the new tactics cards that much. So I haven't found a lot of success with him in the new patch, or seen a lot of success with him from other players in the new patch, and that will change if the Flash gets nerfed or if direct damage gets nerfed a little bit. Energy was recently kind of buffed with the buff to Liberty Bell, which I don't think was needed, and if we see that reverted, or if we see the direct damage or rush cards in Energy hit in some other way, I think Green Arrow will move up at that point. But as of right now, his niche what he counters, we just don't really need right now because we're not seeing it. If we move back to the more like anarchy, tyranny oriented decks where they're running a lot of small minions instead of direct damage or flurry type effects where you buff the flash so he can attack twice, if we move back into a meta that moves away from that and toward recruits, then Green Arrow will get good again. But for right now, I don't think he's that good, and of the mini set heroes, I'd recommend picking up Shazam more than I would recommend picking up Green Arrow. Next up, Hal Jordan, a hero I almost never see anymore. There was a short bit there where the Green Lanterns were doing very well. Hal Jordan kind of falls into this mid-tier of hero now where his attack isn't really high enough to be a good partner for Lex Luthor, and the value that he provides as a mid-tier hero, it's good against mid-tier decks that are popping out recruits that are in his wheelhouse, so to speak. I would say he's similar to Green Arrow or Aquaman in that respect. I think he's in a slightly better spot, but not by a lot. I have Hal Jordan in the C tier now. Very similar to Aquaman or Green Arrow. Their niche is mid-range, and half the players on the ladder, it seems like, are playing Flash Doomsday. Hal Jordan's hero power takes too long to charge to be good against Flash Doomsday, and he takes the same amount of time as Batgirl's, but Batgirl provides more immediate value when you do charge her when she clones or when she copies Commissioner Gordon's ability, or in the late game when she copies Martian Manhunter's ability. So Hal Jordan, he's not fast enough to be good against the rush decks. Doesn't hit hard enough to be a good partner for Lex Luthor. So I've got him in the C tier at the moment, along with the other mid-range heroes who have been good in the past and probably will be good in the future. All they really need would be for the direct damage of energy to get nerfed a little bit. And I think that probably will happen because I don't think the developers are intending for half the ladder to be Flash Doomsday. They may kind of inevitably be playing whack-a-mole with whatever the rush deck flavor of the week is for the lifespan of the game. I think that players are always going to gravitate, or a lot of players are always going to gravitate toward the best or the easiest rush deck to build that they can make. And it used to be Batman, Wonder Woman, and when Might got nerfed and Tactics got nerfed, they all moved over to Flash Doomsday now. When that gets nerfed, they'll all stumble around trying to find the next best rush deck to build. And then when they settle on that one, that's where they'll move after that, and then that one will probably get nerfed, and so on and so forth. It's inevitable, I think, for card games. There's always going to be players looking for a rush deck that's easy because you don't have to think a lot and you can play quick games so you can get the ranked rewards easier. Anyway, Hal Jordan, Aquaman, Green Arrow, they all fall into a similar niche, which is more mid-range, and it just doesn't fit right now. We're looking at either Flash Doomsday or Lex Luthor oriented decks in the meta. At the moment, at least, those are the best ones, in my opinion. Harley Quinn is in a terrible spot at the moment. I rarely see her, and when I do, she doesn't seem to pose much threat. I've got her in the D tier. She just doesn't pair well with any particular hero. I've seen attempts, I used to see attempts to play her with the Flash, but it seems like Doomsday is just straight up better as a partner than Harley Quinn is, and so if you're not going to play her with the Flash, where does she fit? I've seen attempts to play her with Lex Luthor. I think there are better partners available for Lex Luthor. I don't think he needs the card draw that she provides, and they're sort of anti-synergistic with each other because Lex Luthor draws cards, which then means you're not emptying your hand, so you're not getting the full benefit of Harley's ability. In addition, you can pair Harley with Poison Ivy. You could pair her with something like Superman. It's harder to empty your hand, though, if you do that. Like, Anarchy's kind of built to empty the hand quickly, and because it's got a couple of free cards like Kite Man. I've seen Energy is the only other one that I think is built to empty the deck quickly, and so, or the hand quickly, and so I used to see Harley paired with Energy heroes from time to time, but then people just seem to figure out suddenly that Doomsday is straight up better right around the time of the ranked patch. And I think that's because of meta changes, and so now Harley's fallen by the wayside and rarely sees play. And when direct damage gets nerfed, we'll see. Her 3 attack isn't that useful in the current meta. But when the energy direct damage cards inevitably get nerfed, we'll see where Harley lands. As of right now, though, I don't think she's very good. Next up, we have Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is, in my opinion, at the top of the meta. If you're not playing Flash Doomsday or Batman Doomsday and you're not playing Lex Luthor, you're probably not doing as well as you could be doing right now. Unfortunately, there's no bundle available to buy Lex Luthor that I'm aware of. Just have to hope you get him in a pack. He is in a very, very good spot, with the fairly big caveat that you do need a pretty advanced collection in order to build a really good Lex Luthor deck. I would say you need Darkseid at least, and probably Necron as well, along with the Lex Luthor Recruit, which is a super rare rarity card, purple rarity card. And so you may take some time collecting cards before you get those. In addition, it really helps to have Ladama, who is just a completely bonkers addition to the Tyranny faction. That card just seems flat out broken every time I use it. Doesn't seem that hard to get her effect off. Completely overpowered when it does go off. I think that card probably needs to be nerfed into like only working after you play 3 gold cards, but as of right now it works when you play 2 and after you play 2, and it doesn't seems to be a little bit broken with some combos, but it does seem really, really good. And that's an addition that Tyranny didn't even really need. It was in a good spot. And so now it's at the top of the meta. Lex Luthor's at the top of the meta as the best Tyranny hero. Yeah. If you're not playing Flash Doomsday, Batman Doomsday, or a Lex Luthor deck, you're probably not doing as well as you could be, though I do think there also exists a really good Cyborg deck that I just haven't personally found yet. Poison Ivy, her position hasn't changed that much. She's more mid-range with the 3/3s that she summoned. I'd rank her similar to Hal, Aquaman, Green Arrow. Even though Tyranny's in a good spot, we could maybe put her toward the top of C tier. Arguably, she could move up to B, but I think Lex Luthor's the way to go if you're going to play Tyranny in nearly every situation. I don't think there's really a spot for Poison Ivy. If her Savage Vines were buffed to 4 health, she'd be in a better spot, because then a single attack from a Batman or Batgirl or Aquaman couldn't take her out, or Harley Quinn. But as it stands right now, she's very middling tier. I'm not sure there's ever been a point where she wasn't, at least in my opinion. Shazam has improved in my eyes quite a lot since I first got him. I thought he was pretty mediocre. Now I think he's a solid A tier hero. I played a Lex Luthor Shazam deck that I liked, though I do think it overperformed. Again, a caveat being you need cards to play Shazam. I would say you need the Shazam Ultimate. I would say you need a purple rarity or super rare card that I don't have yet, which is the Flash. Then if you have the Flash and you pair Lex Luthor and Shazam and you use Friends in High Places and you find the Flash, you're going to win. Because then you've got a 6/6 Flash. You play the Flash. It has speed. You take out something on the board with 6 health. You play another energy card. You take out something else on the board with 6 health. Or you deal 12 damage to a hero. And then the opponent still has to deal with a 6/6 that you've got on the board. It's just an incredible combo. And it's really, really good. Where is Shazam Lex Luthor actually? If I think it overperformed a bit, I'm not sure. It's going to need more testing. It's on my list of decks to test further. And we'll definitely do that. But I do think it's really good. And I also really like the Shazam Superman deck that I've played, the video for that. will come out tomorrow. So I think Shazam is in a good spot. Solid A tier hero. Comparable to Superman, he's done really good things for me in this patch. Speaking of which, Superman remains a solid A tier hero. I'd rank him just behind or maybe in front of Batgirl. Superman's always been good. He's always just been very solid. He doesn't work with every single other hero, but he works with a lot of them. He's really good. I like Superman a lot. And there's never been a point at which I thought he was mediocre or anything lower than the B tier. I think he's probably been an A tier hero for the entirety of the card game's short existence. I like that hero a lot. Belongs in the A tier, in my opinion. The Flash, the bane of my existence. Flash Doomsday decks I don't care for. The Flash has moved up. I used to think he was garbage. Now, since he's got a good partner in Doomsday and energy, direct damage was buffed a little bit with Liberty Bell. Flash is pretty good. He's definitely above average, though I do think that's temporary. I don't think anybody wants half the meta to be Flash Doomsday, so I think he's gonna... I think his energy cards are probably going to get nerfed. I don't think they hit the Flash hero necessarily. He's already pretty squishy. At least that's what it feels like to play him. But I think they may hit the energy direct damage a little. And then Flash will fall back down into the C tier. But for now, he's moved up a bit, in my view. And I think my record before this patch with the Flash was like 1-7 overall. And my most recent session with Flash Doomsday, to test it out, I went like 6-3. 4 of those games being against other Flash Doomsday decks, which is just ugh. But anyway, I think Flash has moved up by virtue of the energy cards and of the Flash Doomsday deck coming into the meta in a big way. Next up we have the Joker. Well, similar to these other C tier heroes, Joker falls into this category of just not hitting hard enough to make a good partner for Lex Luthor and not being fast enough to make a good partner for Doomsday. Also, he's Anarchy, and that would be a mono-faction deck. So I think the Joker is in a position of kind of waiting for the meta to change to be good again. I don't see his ability as being need of adjustment. The only hero I really think needs an adjustment is Black Adam. I just think that what his role isn't really very good in the current meta. And so it would need to happen for Joker to come back in the meta. Probably Tyranny would need to get hit and or Energy to have a more mid-range meta. That's my opinion of the Joker. The Anarchy cards in general are kind of in a weird place. There's a lot of RNG in them, I think by design. And as such, I'm not sure Anarchy is ever really going to be at the top of the meta, unless the cards were overbuffed in order to account for their RNG. So Anarchy might be intended to be like the fun, more thematic meta, with like the Joker being more, random. And I don't know if it's ever really going to be at the top of the meta. But Doomsday is, at the moment, near the top anyway. So, in the right circumstance it happens, but I'm not sure that the Anarchy cards are going to end up there when we move toward like the full release or the Steam release of the game. We'll see. We'll see what the next balance patch brings. Wonder Woman was a hero I had a ton of success with in the previous patch. Haven't really had much success at all with her in the most recent patch. I think she falls into the same situation as all of these heroes whose ability does around 3 damage or are oriented around clearing small recruits like Green Arrow. They're all kind of in a similar spot. They don't hit hard enough and they're not fast enough. The Wonder Woman is fast. I tried her with Doomsday. It didn't go well at all. I think 3 and 5 overall. So the might cards just aren't oriented toward rush enough for Wonder Woman to be a good rush partner for Doomsday. I still see some players playing Wonder Woman Batman. I think it's just straight up worse than Flash Doomsday or Batman Doomsday though. So I see Wonder Woman as a C tier hero for now. She has been an A tier hero in the past, as has Aquaman, Green Arrow as well, or an S tier hero in my opinion. But right now, the way the meta is, I see them as middling heroes. And that brings us to Zatanna. Zatanna, still pretty solid. Because some of her magic spells really work well into the end game, she can be a pretty good control-oriented hero. The problem is finding a good partner for her. So I guess you pair her with Superman. I've seen mono-faction decks pairing her with Shazam that seem to work okay, though I'm not sure I would really recommend it. Maybe Superman, maybe Batgirl. I've tried them out a little bit. I haven't really found a good or partner for Zatanna or a really good Zatanna deck. As of right now, I think she's like a slightly above 50% hero. Not bad. And there's some pretty sick combos that you can do with her. Constantine got nerfed in the last patch, though. And Constantine was a marquee card in any Zatanna deck. And the nerf of Constantine, I think, hurt Zatanna quite a lot. So lower B tier is where I have her now. So that's how the meta shapes up as of this most recent patch, the ranked patch, in my opinion. We got Lex Luthor at the top, the heroes that hit pretty hard, Superman, Shazam, and then heroes with the hero with big combos, Batgirl, and then Batman with his new tactics cards, and Doomsday with his rush decks. That's how the meta looks at the moment. Cyborg's a bit of a wild card. I think there is a good Cyborg deck out there, I just haven't found it yet. And Flash, only because he pairs well with Doomsday. So that's all for now. We'll do another one of these tier lists the next time there's a balance patch that changes the meta significantly. And thank you for watching.